This YCN segment is brought to you by Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer.
Welcome in, YCN Sports Talk. Jeremy Stout, and joining me this week from the Lebanon Area Chamber of Commerce, Rob Taylor. Rob, thanks for coming back in on a not quite spring-like day. This is, are we going to ever get to the spring? I don't know.
Winter will not give up.
It sure won't. And down at Fenway yesterday, it felt like winter, 40 degrees, ring ceremony. I don't know if you got to see any of that. I was down there. It was an exciting ceremony, always fun. I mean, it seems like it's happening every few years, a ring ceremony for the Red Sox. You always knew it happens with the Patriots, but the Red Sox are making a habit of that now, 4 times.
Titletown USA, if you want my honest opinion. It was fun to see him drop those banners, the big flags on the Green Monster, and obviously raise the championship banner. Great to see the players getting their rings. Great to see the Pats coming out.
Pats were there.
I heard through the grapevine that Brady was giving Edelman a little bit of crap for not really putting a very good pitch in there for his first pitch. But, it's always awesome to raise the banner in Fenway.
Right.
I mean, that's something we're sort of getting spoiled.
Yeah, we are. We're getting used to it.
So, but then there's the game itself.
Right,
to talk
then the
about.
season, exactly. I mean, the season's already started, obviously, opening up on the 11-game road trip. So we'll go rewind a little bit before that game yesterday. 3-8 on the opening road trip, and then obviously losing yesterday to fall to 3-9. This rotation looks to be a bit of a struggle. We thought that might be the strong suit. Obviously, the offense we thought would be there as well. But this rotation has struggled as a whole. Before we get to the specifics, just in general, it's a little worrisome, I think. I know it's early, but we should worry a little bit.
It's not time to panic quite yet.
Right.
But it's definitely a concern. I guess, my big thing is they sort of seem to give too much rest to our starting rotation during spring training.
Yeah.
And I don't think that really gets them anywhere. I think you're sort of saving them up for something that I just think it's actually much better to get them into their routine, get their arm strength up, build up that sort of tolerance to pitching. Mm-hmm. And, of course, that grueling road trip to start the season out was kind of tough in terms of scheduling. I've always been kind of, April ball for the Sox is not really a great thing. I mean, Fenway last night was cold and dreary. So.
Right, it's tough. It's tough when you're playing in April at home and it's cold. But you mentioned that road trip, and we'll go into that a little bit because that seemed, they were the last team to open up. And I know weather-wise sometimes you don't want to open up at Fenway, but for the world champs, and they had to go on this long road trip, 3 cities going all the way from obviously Seattle, and then it was opening day in Arizona. They were in Oakland. It was a tough road trip. So you kind of give them some slack, because if they go 6-5 on that road trip, it's okay. They went 3-8, so a few games behind. But the way they're losing these games is pretty bad. I mean, there's some sloppy baseball being played. Mental errors, base running errors. Chris Sale, that's a whole other thing we haven't gotten to yet. Yep. It's kind of sloppy.
Absolutely, they're just not. They're not crisp, not looking sharp out there. For a team that's largely still intact from over 100 wins and the World Championship last year, you're sort of scratching your head. What's going on with the Sox here? But I don't know. Baseball is a game of momentum, and success begets success, and I think failure begets failure.
Right.
And so hopefully they can turn it around. They're all saying the right things in the post-game interviews.
Yeah.
And, I guess the biggest concern I do have is these starting pitchers that we're paying hundreds of millions to.
And one of them, we just talked about a couple weeks ago with the extension, is Chris Sale. He's now 0-3 with a 9.0 ERA. He said himself he's never been more lost on the mound in his career. So that's the troubling thing. It's almost like, if he says, hey, I'm just missing by a little bit here and there, I'm going to find it. But he seems to be now not doubting himself, but questioning it. He seems to be worried. Like you said, failure begets failure. He's going to get out of this funk and figure this out because it's going to be a long season.
Yeah, so I would say he's one of those ones I think that by not getting a lot of pitches in spring training, I think he's sort of behind. And you can clearly see that. His velocity's off. They were showing his fastball. I guess his fastball on that road trip was like the slowest it's been in years. This is a world-class pitcher who's been dominant for 10 years now in the league. So you're sort of saying, what is different this year? What are they? You could still see like flashes of brilliance just the first inning last night.
Right.
But boy, I'm going to say this could be on Alex Cora's head a little bit because they way too conservative with their pitchers. Obviously, they're spending so much money. They don't want them to get injured in spring training.
Right.
But these guys, I mean, this is practice. Baseball is a game of routine, and to sort of get into that routine, I think, is so much more important than saving them for later. It's maybe this could be coming back to bite us a little bit right now.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see because you're right, you can't use the first half of the month as spring training. That's why you have spring training. So it'll be interesting. We'll take a break and come back and talk about it's less than 10% of the season, but is this already too big of a hole? Plus, they do have some bright spots, their bullpen. And then what do they do about that catcher position? So it's going to be interesting to see what Rob has to say about that. We'll take a break. You're watching YCN Sports Talk.